Welcome to 911. This tutorial will discuss how to set up and configure PIVX masternodes. In particular, how to configure 4 masternodes on a VPS, so a single 4-core CPU, for about $7 per month. I'll talk about first what a PIVX masternode is, how to set up and configure the VPS, installing and configuring the first masternode, and then installing and configuring subsequent masternodes. Process is a little bit different because the first masternode requires downloading of the blockchain. Since this is a somewhat involved tutorial, I'll break it up into 4 parts. PIVX is a fork of Dash, which had the concept of masternodes. Masternodes are used to provide layer 2 services for the blockchain. It secures the network, provides decentralized governance, allows for additional functionality that can't be done by pure staking nodes, and it provides blockchain rewards and voting rights. PIVX is a DAO, and in order to vote on proposals, you have to be a masternode owner. So all masternode owners can use their masternodes to vote. Just to give you a little idea of what sort of rewards you can make from masternodes, the existing, this is as of today, the existing estimated annual return is 9.27%. There's a real nice little tool on the PIVX website that kind of will calculate this for you. So if I go down here, you can read a little bit more on what masternodes are. Also, there are 1,700 masternodes online today, so it's a very secure network. Almost a quarter of all PIVX is locked up in masternodes. And if you keep going down here, you can see, you can enter the number of masternodes. It'll just tell you what your annual, monthly, weekly, daily, and annual rewards would be. So for 4, what we're talking about now, it would be 3.7 thousand PIV. Okay, so this will get into the nuts and bolts of how to configure and install the masternodes on the VPS, but one assumption is that you have the PIVX, so I thought it would be useful to just go through very briefly how to go from, how at least I go from KYC to PIVX, and then where to keep that PIVX. So I keep my PIVX in a hardware wallet. I use Ledger. There are others out there. I don't have any advice on which is the best, but the easiest way to get PIVX is to use a KYC crypto exchange like Coinbase. I usually purchase Litecoin because the fees are relatively low and it's relatively fast to transfer. And you can then, once you have Litecoin, you can go through one of these non-KYC instant exchanges that will essentially just take your Litecoin in and it will spit out PIVX. So just to show you the one that I use, and this isn't the only one I use, but this one's pretty good. It's called FlipMe. And you can see here you enter the amount of Litecoin that you have. It will tell you, it does take a fee, and it'll tell you how much PIVX you get, and it'll ask you what the wallet address for the PIVX is. And that's it. Now it does even have a refund wallet address, so if something goes wrong, you can it will refund the Litecoin to your Litecoin wallet. So just, so basically what you would do is through Coinbase or whatever your exchange is, you would basically initiate a transfer of the amount that is as requested here, and you would enter in your hardware wallet address of where this is going to go. So from FlipMe, I send everything to one account. So I have an account called PIVX Transfer, and this account will hold all of the PIVX that I will ultimately use for setting up the masternodes. This makes it a lot easier because in order to set up a masternode, you need exactly 10,000 PIV. So you want to have single transactions showing 10,000 PIVX. And it's easier to just go ahead and use FlipMe or whatever you want. Just have one bucket to hold all your PIVX, and then you can do you can do transfers internally on your wallet. So for instance, you can set up a PIVX Masternode account here. Now you could do that just by clicking Add Account. I've already done it. And then once you've done that, you say Receive, and go to your PIVX transfer account, assuming you have the money in there, you say Send, and you put in that address and it will send it. The nice thing about PIVX is it's really fast and transfers are extremely inexpensive. The fees are very, very low, which is one of the nice things about PIVX in general. And that's what you're going to want to do. So really the first step, and this is a step kind of before the step that we'll go into the details of, is setting up your PIVX account. So if you want to have 4 masternodes, which is what I'm going to go through today, you're going to want to set up a PIVX Masternode 1, and you can name these whatever you want. You can see that Ledger just put these sort of out of order, but 1, 2, 3, 4, and each one of these would have exactly 10,000 PIV. So that's an important point. You want to transfer, that would be 4 transfers from your PIVX transfer or whatever your sort of holding account is for your PIVX, and create 10,000 PIVX transfers for each of these. So for the rest of this video, I'm going to assume that that's been done, and you have your 4 accounts set up with 10,000 PIVX in each one of them. If you want to just go ahead and set up one masternode, you can. You get a lot more efficiency in this example by setting up 4 because it's the same price, because we're actually going to use all 4 cores on a single VPS. Okay, so you're also going to need to download a piece of software called the Secure PIVX Masternode tool. And the Secure PIVX Masternode tool can be found on GitHub here. Again, I will put that in the show notes. Just to show you what that looks like, I'm going to go there now. Okay, so if you go to the link that I've shown below, it's going to bring you here. And if you go to Releases, and now if you scroll down, you'll see these are binary releases for various architectures. Okay, so next let's go to Contabo, which is the website that I'm using. This is the hosting site to purchase a VPS with 4 cores. Okay, so this is Contabo. You're going to select, to follow this, the $6.99. You can select this, and then you can choose your term. You can do month, 3 months, 6 months, 12, your region. And then the rest can basically be defaults. So the 200 gigabyte is adequate, and you're going to want to use Ubuntu 2004. So this is all okay. Then you're going to select a password for your root server name, and pick something that's good. And everything else can stay the same. One IP address is fine. No additional add-ins. You're just going to click Next, and you're going to purchase. So that there is a one-time setup fee, and depending on where you are, it can be a little bit more expensive. Okay, so it will take anywhere between 20 minutes and 3 hours to get the VPS set up. And once that is set up, you're going to see something like this, and it will tell you, okay, it's the price per month, and it will give you the information on your IP address and your IPv6 address. So this is some of the information that you're going to need as you're looking to configure things. So let's now go to the next step. Okay, so once we have the server set up and we have our login and password, we have the IP address, we can go ahead and log in. Now, the documentation on the PIVX website recommends a third-party tool for a terminal tool for SSHing in. In our case, and this is it, I'm going to put this in the show notes as well, so you can see this. Since I'm running on a Mac, I'm just going to use a straight terminal and SSH as the command. So the IP address I have, so I can just go in and I chose the root password. So the command would be SSH-L for the username as root, and that's the IP address. And then I will just put in the password here. Okay, so now we are logged in to Contabo at the root level. So now we can just go ahead and follow through with the documentation on the PIVX website, which is pretty straightforward. I'm just going to go ahead and do that next. So the first thing it tells you to do is to install security patches. So we can do that just by cutting and pasting this line right here. You see this working? So this is doing updates and upgrades. So this is just the command. The command serves to update the VPS to the recent version of the software. So just make sure that we're on the latest and greatest version. There's no security holes. Okay, so this is done. It exited successfully. So the next thing we're going to want to do is enable IPv6. So for the subsequent masternodes, following the first one, you're going to need IPv6 addresses. So I'm going to cut and paste this. And that returned quietly. So once you've done that, you're going to go ahead and pull down the latest PIVX wallet onto the Contabo server. So this command, which is going to cd to the home directory, and then it's going to do a wget from GitHub, which is going to pull down this tar.gz file. So this is a zipped file that contains the PIVX code. The latest version, 5.4.0, should still be valid, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And that's done. Okay, next step, we're actually going to uncompress it. So untar and unzip the file you just downloaded to install the wallet. So this command right here, tar minus zvf, zxvf, is going to take that file that we just downloaded, that's this file. If you want to see it, I can just do you see it here, see this red file right here, that's the file that we just pulled down. And this is going to uncompress it and place it in its own directory. So now see it's creating a PIVX 5.4.0 folder. Okay, we'll continue in part 2.